Hi, dear users of Laird. Here we are again, finally, with a new, very important new feature that will come for free for all the users of Laird. And this is a very important milestones on our evolution. And let me show you what's happening. So here we are in Blender 3.4, and here I'm using a test version of Laird, so you will have, I suppose, in the next weeks, the version 1.9.4. That is the version that will have this new feature, and it will be available on Flared XT and on Flared Standard as well. This new feature will automatically find the objects that are positions between the camera and the flares, so that the flare will have an occlusion, will close himself when the object is between the camera and the flare. So let me show you how it works. I'm going to reduce the render scene, so we will have a faster preview in cycles. I will go to GPU compute. I will go down with the max samples. I will activate the denoise. I use optics because I have an NVIDIA card, and this is a good way to have a faster preview. I will go to render view, and I will add to this light vintage preset. This is the camera, this is the light. I go into the camera pressing 0, and here I can see the camera. This is an artifact that you can see only in cycles, because if you go to EV, you don't have this. In EV, the preview is really fast, and you don't have any artifacts, because EV can handle an infinite number of transparency. Cycles doesn't. So if you go in cycles, you will have to turn up in the light path the transparent value. As you can see, turn up to the lowest level you need it. So this is 25. In 25 I'm okay. So don't go to 300 if you just need 25, because if you go to 300 you will have a higher render time. Okay, so this is okay. Here I am in camera, and here is a cube. So I go to frame 1, this is the frame 1, I select the cube and I press I on the keyboard, and I've saved the location. Then I go to 100 frame and I move this, and I will save it pressing I and location. So let's take a look at what's happening. Okay, the cube is passing in front of the camera, but the flare is not disappearing. Why? Because we have added a function that needs to be baked. So to calculate the occlusion of this element, you have to make bake occlusion. The bake will function with all the elements that you have on the scene, but now we have just one flare, and we can bake just one flare. So we have this factor that is the fade in and fade out values. This is expressed in frames. So these are the frames that the light will take to fade in and to fade out. It's easier to see it. Bake occlusion. It will ask if we want to use a global value for fade in and fade out instead of using a local value for each flare. We just want to use this local value now, and so it's asking to work only for this flare, for all the flares, or all selected flare. Please remember that selected flare are this one. If you have more than one frame, one flared, and you select them, this will work only on selected flare. But for now, I just bake the occlusion for all the flares without using a global factor, using so free and free. And okay, this is what it's happening. Let's take a look at the animation now. Here are on frame 1. I will move the flare. This is the cube that is passing in front of us, and here is the flare disappearing. Okay, it's going away, and now it is appearing again. This number 3 and 3 is how many frames it takes to go away and to come back. Okay, so if I set a different numbers, maybe here are 7 and 7, and I bake again. If I bake again, I will overwrite all values. Now I will have 7 and 7, so the fade in and fade out will be slower. Let's take a look at this. Here is coming, and as you can see, well, in this moment is going to fade out, and in this moment is going to fade in. I think that the values between 1 and 3 are the most usable values to make your flare looks realistic. Okay, 7 is too high because this is not realistic. This kind, it depends on the speed of your animation, but you can force any value that you prefer. And now let's see another situation. This is the same, but we add one empty. Here I had one empty. It's going to be put here. Okay, this is a new empty, and I will add a new light with a different flare on this empty. I will use this one, and I will add it. Okay, as you can see, we have some problem related to the transparency light path, so we have to turn it up. Okay, this could be fine, 86, and this new light doesn't have any response to these new values that we've set up, that is the occlusion values, because we have to bake the scene again. So what it's best to do, I think that the best thing to do now that we have two lights is to bake the occlusion for all the lights, okay, and set a global value in this option so that we will going to overwrite all the other flares, and I will set up 3. That is no, sorry, it's not here. This is the duration of the animation. You can set up the starting and ending point of the baking, so other points that are out of this range will not be override. And now I will set 3 and 3, that is the default value for all the lights. So let's set OK, go here, and I will see what's going to happen. Okay, now cycle is not so fast, but this is what's going to happen. It's going to work well, disappearing and appearing again when we need it. As you can see, if we switch to EB, we'll have a faster preview. Sometimes we'll have some glitch, maybe, okay, but it's not a problem. It's just a preview problem. You can deactivate these elements, and this is what's going to happen. Okay, if you want to exclude some object, maybe that we have some object, transparent object as windows or other things that you don't want to be baked into this baking, you can exclude from bake, and you can select the object. You can select an object and then press plus button, and you will have here all the objects that are excluded from be baken. And this is important if you have some object that you don't want to bake. This function will only create keyframe on the obstacle occlusion of each flare. So all the things that happens here are there. As you can see, this is the value that is going to change. So if you create a new window with a graph editor, you can see that this is what's happening there. This is the value that you're going to change here, and you can see it right now. This is for this lamp, but you can see what's happening there. That is the same. Remember that these values are saved on the object on which we have created the flare. So this flare has been created on the light. These keyframes are saved on this light. Okay, this flare is attached on the empty. These elements, these hypercurves, are saved on these empty elements. This is very important because if you want to modify this, you can do it, but you have to know where it's stored, and it's stored into the object that have the attached flare. Okay, I modified it now, and you can see that it's not so good because it is still alive when it needs to be out of sight. So this is what we have to do. Okay, and this is all for now. We have a problem because this system doesn't work so well with multicam. If you use the multicam, you can have glitches when the fade in and fade out values are inside when you change the camera. So you have to make some tricks by hand on this value to change the multicam vision, because if you don't do it, you will have problem when viewing through multicam system. I hope that we're going to solve this problem in the next weeks, because we're working on it, but we wanted to release this new version with this first attempt to create an automatic system. So I hope that you like this free update that comes for all of you, and please, if you have some problem using it, write us. We will try to make it better in the future. And thank you everybody, and have a good year. I look forward to hear some good news from you in the next year. Thank you, and bye bye.